Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me today, and we are in episode 15, and we have a very special guest to bring to you guys today. No other than Tyler Krekling, all the way from the wild frontier of Alaska. Tyler is a middle school phy-ed teacher in Homer, Alaska, and he is a near and dear friend to both Luke and I, going all the way back to our glory days of high school. Tyler's from Hayfield, Minnesota, and Tyler has had probably like the last 10 years now of some awesome hunting and fishing opportunities that he has explored in the great state of Alaska, and we cannot look forward to more to bring you guys this episode. We'll say that we did have a little bit of technical issues in there, but other than that, let's just dive into it. So, without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, Tyler Krekling. Tyler, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. Got a sunny day up here in Homer, and haven't seen a lot of those lately, so it's always good when you get nice weather up here.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Haven't seen you guys in a while. How you guys been?
It's been a minute, man. I was just gonna make a joke that it's funny how we queue up every podcast about the weather, but for the intro. But
when in doubt,
talk about the weather.
Yeah.
It's a pretty Minnesota thing, but no, I've been doing good. Just trying to kick off. Hopefully, finally summer now that Memorial Day's done here in Minnesota. It's been pretty darn rainy for the last probably 2.5 weeks here up in central Minnesota.
Yeah, Memorial. That sort of marks the start of summer here too. Just all the shops are open, tourists start coming down, so it's getting pretty busy.
when is because I'm trying to think when we went to Alaska, boy, a while ago. I can't even remember how long ago, but we came in June. So when does basically 24 hours of sunlight start?
You're getting it now. I fell asleep by midnight last night. It was still light out.
Jeez.
Summer solstice is, towards the end of June. So that's definitely the peak of your daylight. Mm-hmm. Up here, it's sort of sun goes down, but it's still dusk and goes right to dawn. It's pretty crazy. Honestly, that's a lot tougher for me to get used to than the dark in the winter because I stay busy
I'm sure.
enough. But yeah, when it's still light at 1 a.m, you're like, oh, I should probably go to bed.
Yeah, I remember we were up by Denali and stopped in a brewery and got out of there at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's still dusk or whatever you want to call it. And we had a midnight 4-wheeler drive. So it was like you went to one spot, watched the sun go down, drive to another spot, came right back up. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
So do the businesses, this might be a novice question, but never been to Alaska. Do the businesses shut down? Can you go golf? Can you golf from 8 a.m. to midnight?
Golf, yeah, you can. They take advantage of the daylight. But as far as businesses, they might stay open till if they stay open till 8 in the winter, maybe they'll stay open till 10 and take advantage a little bit.
Okay.
It's just the majority of businesses close down up here in the winter. But usually about Memorial to Labor Day is about when they open up and close back down. So it's just a lot more of them, I guess. Yeah. Which is great for the locals. We have a lot more options.
Yeah, true. Is that the same rules then for hunting and fishing? Can you guys go through and you can hunt till sundown, obviously, sun up?
Nice.
So you get a full day of hunting and fishing?
Yeah, moose season, especially early, is pretty nice. You get a lot of daylight, a lot of hunting hours. Yeah, it is pretty nice.
Did not know that. That'd be such an unfortunate rule if they stuck on the sanctions that Missouri has for turkey hunting, where you can only hunt till noon.
That'd be rough.
Yeah, it would be rough. Yeah, that's one animal I wish we had up here, though.
The only state, right?
I think you're right. Yeah. You're probably
which is
right
crazy.
there.
You'd think that,
Yes, it's just Alaska.
Yeah, you think
They
that
do well
Alaska
up
would.
here, too.
Yeah, but it's funny that Alaska does it, but Hawaii does. Like,
Right.
where did that get? How did that get introduced over there?
Tyler,
Right.
when I come out the drive out and see you, I'm going to bring you a live turkey.
Perfect.
Bring up.
We'll get it clear. We'll get it cleared by the DNR first, so we're legal, and then we'll make it.
Going across the border with it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a
Canada,
pet. It's your pet.
Canada might not like that.
You definitely, that'd be interesting.
That'd be bad. But so, Tyler, super excited to have you on the podcast. I know we've talked about it for a couple of weeks now. For the viewers that don't know, Tyler lives in Homer, Alaska, beautiful state of Alaska. And let's just kind of dive in a little bit of just kind of your intro to the outdoors. I mean, we go way back, man. We're best friends from high school, and you started BYP with me, Backyard Pursuits, back in the day. But just kind of give me some of your like early influences into like the outdoors, just from a young age, and just kind of maybe give the viewers a little bit of a perspective of like where you came from.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Love your guys' episodes so far. They've been great.
Thanks.
But no, my hunting background really comes, probably primarily from my dad, which is sort of funny because his dad never really hunted. He sort of got into it on his own with his friends. So he's probably one of the bigger contributors to, why I hunt, why I love the outdoors as much as I do. But I also give a lot of credit to, you, Evan, and Dave, and, how much I've learned from you guys and just, going and exploring. Right. So really, I do credit, you both with a lot of it, and probably the biggest influencers for at least my life in the outdoors.
A lot of fun memories out at the farm. It's been cool to see the ripple effect as the older that we've gotten of the people, I think of like you two and Jake and my cousins and a bunch of other people that kind of got to experience the little bit of the woods and shoot rabbits and squirrels and stuff as kids. And then the old man just telling us to go out and just go. Don't come back until sundown.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Knowing that I was coming back, coming on this podcast, I got, it was sort of nice to look back. I don't do that probably enough or as much as I should, but just enjoying some of those memories. So it was nice to be able to look back on some of those fond memories.
Well, with all that, it's pretty crazy that, you've ended up in Alaska. And I remember the day that you moved pretty vividly. It was a pretty wild experience, having had a close friend where it was just like, yep, going to Alaska, and you never look back. And like, good for you, because you've built yourself, you've got an awesome life up there, and, you've built yourself into that community up in Homer. So maybe just kind of take us into like the why and the how, and, maybe, a lot of that kind of tied through college and stuff like that. So just kind of give us that story.
Yeah. So, it's been now 8 years, I think, since I first moved up. Holy cow. No, I guess the why, to be completely honest, coming out of college, I applied for a job in Hayfield, and I didn't even get an interview. And honestly, it ticked me off a little bit. And so I'm like, well, shoot, what told me back here? And, and so that night I'm like, I'm going to look out west, Wyoming, Montana. It's like, see if, if I'm going to do it, now's the time. I'm young. And there wasn't much out west that, sparked my interest as far as job openings. I teach middle school PE, for those who don't know, PE and health. Nothing really sparked my interest. And, I figured, hey, I'm going to look at Alaska. What's the harm of looking? And so I looked, I saw an opening in Homer. I'm like, Homer, I've definitely heard of that. Did a little research. It's a really nice town, small town. Growing up in Hayfield, I like that. I don't want to be in a big city. And so I applied, got an interview, did a Zoom interview, and got a call the next day. Said, all right, let's do it. Let's try it. Worst case, I don't like it. I move back in a year, and
right.
Here I am 8 years later now, I moved back one time, but for a quick year, but now it's been, I think 5 years, fifth school year since I've been back up.
Wild man.
So honestly, that's sort of my why is look in the moment, I was so mad that I didn't get an interview for that Hayfield job. But now looking back, probably the best thing that could have happened to me. Otherwise, I probably would have, stayed there, not have some of the experiences that I've been fortunate enough to have up here. So, it's everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. And after that, whatever's thrown your way, all right, it'll pass. It'll pass. So that's been very important in my life. I think that was a huge lesson for me that I was able to learn pretty quick. Everything's going to happen for a reason, but so that's sort of the why. Moved up here, wanted to hunt and fish. Homer's right on the water. Got some good moose hunting, bear hunting, as well as a lot of other big animals. So that was sort of the nudge I needed to get up here.
I was going to say you picked probably one of the most beautiful places you could have ever picked to go. And that's where it's like just funny looking back on it now, because it's like of all places though, it's like geographically, it's probably the farthest you could be away. So.
Yeah, it doesn't get much farther, huh? It's
how long of a trip is it for you to get home, either driving or flight?
If you go straight through driving, it's 60 hours. Yeah, it's a good, hard, long 4 days if you go pretty hard.
Just think, flight, it's like South Dakota, 10 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flights, though, you can get Minneapolis to Anchorage in about a 5.5 hour flight. So really, that's not that bad. However, it takes me either a 4-hour drive to get to Anchorage or a 40-minute, $200 one-way flight. So the give and the take a little bit there, but so it's not that bad getting home though. It really isn't, at least flying wise.
And you still make it back once or twice, or if not, sometimes 3 times a year, don't you?
Yeah, usually at least twice. I like getting back over Christmas, seeing everyone, and usually over the summer. This summer, I'm not sure if I'll be able to though. I'm just busy, life's catching up.
Well, that's like the fun part about it, though. You've kind of built like I said, you've kind of rooted yourself into that community now, where you've got a footprint, and you're and kind of, you said it a little bit before, and kind of leading into it now. Like, just tell us what you're busy with in town. I mean, I know you're in middle school teaching, and you're also a coach. Sorry to hear about the loss going into playoffs here, but maybe you could fill us in on all that.
Yeah, so I guess my school year looks, I start school up. We start August around the 10th, so we're pretty early up here. And I officiate varsity volleyball up here. And then once October comes, I coach middle school girls basketball till about December. And then I start coaching or reffing high school basketball. I've done the state tournament up here twice now. I've had a couple of championship games, so It's been really fun. And you just, learn about all the different communities, and it's a small state. It's a big state, but it's a small state. You get to learn and know a lot of people.
Do you have an idea like how many combined schools there is?
Well, in our district alone, we have 44 total schools, but I mean, really, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 big schools.
Wow. In the whole state.
Well, no, in our borough, the Kenai, the whole peninsula,
Gotcha.
The whole Kenai Peninsula, yeah. Well, for example, I coached. So in the spring this year, I coached varsity baseball for the first year, and
awesome.
There's 16 teams in Division II. So there's 2 divisions for the state of Alaska. We're the small school division. And there's only 16 in the whole state. So not many. 8 teams make it the state, so half the teams make it, half the teams don't. We're not, I'm not used to that, but it's a lot different up here in ways like that.
So what does that look like as far as like, if, I'm sure it's not, you're not taking a bus to some of these, matchups or tournaments.
Here, I actually asked the same question. I'm like, if I have a kid that does football, basketball, and baseball, how many miles does he travel? And actually, I was gonna share this on my podcast, but so I have one kid that does all three sports, and the total miles that he traveled in all three was about 8,500 miles.
Oh my gosh!
And
that's crazy.
That's anywhere from road to you fly to. I think they flew to Barrow, and we ferried to Kodiak. He had to go to Kodiak twice, once in football, once in baseball, and that's a 9-hour ferry one way.
Jeez.
But yeah, over 8,000 miles that kid traveled. He's a sophomore this year and played 3 varsity sports.
Jeez, and Barrow's way. I mean, as far north as it gets, right?
That's as far north as you get. Their football field's 25 yards from the Arctic Ocean. And they'll stop because polar bears are walking on the field. Like, that's normal occurrence. Yeah, it's pretty bananas up there, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. So
that's
they missed more. They missed more school than I missed when I was playing college baseball, without a doubt. These kids are gone often.
Wow. So is it pretty rare then for someone to play all 3 sports?
A lot of kids will play at least 2, if not 3. But we have soccer up here and track and field, so a lot of the kids who aren't in baseball might do soccer in the spring rather than but a lot play football and basketball and wrestling.
So if you had to pick a state sport for Alaska, what is that?
Honestly, it's basketball up here.
Really?
Which would surprise a lot of people, but basketball's king. And the reason is you have over 200 bush villages, and not all of them have enough room for a football or soccer field, but they all have a gym.
They all have a gym.
And they might not have enough people to make a hockey team. The big schools do.
Sure.
But everyone, you could throw 5 guys together, 5 girls together, and start up a basketball team, though. So basketball is king up here still.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's just such a different and cool to you to be able to once again experience all that, because it's so dynamic. We think we're pretty hard nosed living in Minnesota, for what we get for weather and stuff like that, and it's literally nothing compared to that.
Yeah, I think our closest trip this year is about an hour and a half for baseball.
Jeez.
Oof.
That was our closest.
You need a private helicopter.
That's what I'm saying. We need, You got family up here that has their pilot's license, right? Maybe we could hook the Homer district up.
Get a bush plane.
That's right.
Or a few.
Yeah, we need a few.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy, man.
That's the year, but as far as hunting and fishing though, I'm working on getting my boat out right now since I'm done with baseball, and I'll go troll for salmon and just go jig for some halibut. That's a lot of what we got out here in the bay. It's pretty good all summer, but once August hits, most of the hunts across the bay. I drew a caribou hunt on the peninsula here that opens August 10th. So that's when a lot of your big game hunts will start, the 10th. And then moose starts the 1st of September.
Okay.
Although they opened up an early season bow archery hunt for moose this year.
What time is that?
So that it's I got to look again, but it's 1 or 2 weeks leading up to the season. So the end of August. So you get out there before anyone else, though.
Well, I was going to say that's probably the perks for you of being a teacher is you get your summers off, but unfortunately school kicks off early.
You
get kind of
really
crunched.
Early. Yeah. Yeah. Last year I actually drew a goat tag, and I was supposed to go across the bay. I think we started school August 9th, but my hunt doesn't start till the 10th. So I'm burning all my personal days up right away. And, it's, this guy I was stuck in Bethel for 4 days. Luckily, I bumped it up against spring break. Otherwise, as a teacher, I don't know if I could have swung it with the minimum days off that we get. It is tough. It's, you get your summers off to fish, but when hunting comes around, it's rough.
Well, it's nice at least for you that the fact that you could drive to most of these places, correct? Like if you wanted to go on a moose hunt, you could drive out and get out in the boonies and get a hunt in if you really wanted to.
For sure. Yeah, moose, bear, those we have right on the peninsula.
Okay.
Caribou, any of the caribou hunts on the peninsula, you have to draw. So otherwise you're going to be driving probably about 12 hours away from the next open unit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a drive. And before we get too much into hunting here, I want to dive in just a little bit too and talk about Cast with a View. And just for those that didn't know, Tyler has his own podcast. Just tell us, like, it's funny because I had no idea until my mother told me that you started a podcast, and you literally started it, I think, a week apart from when Luke and I started Wild Faith here. So just tell us about it. This is your advertising segment right here.
First off, I like to call it a friend cast. It gives me and my buddy just an excuse to get together. I mean, you guys run a podcast. We're not as official as Wild Faith, but we just sit around and have some fun. We're both teachers, so like I said, it just gives us an excuse to get together. But yeah, we just sort of talk about everything and anything, just whatever we feel like talking about that day. A lot of it has to do with probably school, since we both teach, and he coaches girls soccer. He just got 5th in the state. Their state tournament was last week. So we talk a lot about sports. He's originally from Texas, so big hunter also, and
fun.
Yeah, and so it's just Cast. It's called Cast with a View, and it's just him and I sitting around and sort of talking about what comes to our mind, whatever's in the news that week. But yeah, that's about it.
I was just laughing today listening to your guys' latest podcast when you were talking about how your families have chimed in, wondering how much money you guys have made from the podcast. And how much money you've lost starting the podcast, and then falling, because you're in the same boat right now where you guys, I think you're on will be episode 8 coming out next week, right?
Yeah.
So, but you were saying you've hit to 20 episodes and you're already in that 5% threshold of podcasts because people just give up on doing it. Yep. So kudos to you guys.
Well, thanks. Yeah, you guys too. That's
thank you.
Yeah, it was
start somewhere.
The starting time was just weird because you and I didn't talk at all about the podcast, either of them. The same week. It was the same week we just both came out with our podcast. Like, all right, hey, if it works, it works.
It's funny too. Like I would have never thought in a million years that we'd be doing a podcast. Let alone I look back at it now. I've been on a couple podcasts with ABO, but just like anything, I look back, it's like, why didn't we start one like 5 years ago, back when they weren't popular? And then
or high school.
Where would we be at today?
All right. Yeah, but, the original podcast could have been, Yeah,
could have been cool. It wasn't hip back then, but now it's the thing. All the cool kids do it.
You're right. It wasn't hip. Yep. Now it's in.
So kind of transitioning here, I know you've got, and you already hinted towards a couple of them, but you are blessed, like I said, to live in Alaska, and knowing you and your spirit and your personality, you are a hunter and a fisherman through and through, and you have lots of adventures that you have been on in Alaska. And I'm sure a lot of people are curious to hear about these stories, and just kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown on some of the hunts. I know, just a few list of them. You've been on some epic caribou hunts, some cool moose hunts. Obviously, you got that beautiful muskox behind you, and you have everything out your back door. So wherever you want to kick off and go, let's run with it.
All right. Well, yeah, I might run a little off topic. Just give me back
on
mine. Shoot. Let's. I don't know. Let's start. So in Alaska, you have a lottery that comes out. And a lot of the bigger games, you need a draw. There's definitely areas you could go over the counter. But for example, there's definitely some goat areas on Kodiak. You can just go, print your tag off, and go. Otherwise, across the bay where I live, you got to draw. So I've been fortunate that I'm going to jinx myself now, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't care. Because it's getting ridiculous at this point, and people up here are getting a little fishy. I've drawn every single year I could put in, which is unheard of up here. Absolutely unheard of. So I'm so lucky. I can't. One of these years, I'm not going to draw something. I can't even be mad because I've been so fortunate. So this muskox, we'll start with her or him, not her, but I got that muskox on Nunavut Island or.
Crazy.
It's hard to say. Merkoyak is the village. That's easier to say.
Yeah.
Merkoyak. So that's off the western coast of Alaska. So it's just a small little island that I believe the herd got planted there.
Okay.
I think they got planted there. They used to have them on the island. Might have got killed off and then have now been planted and doing well. It's less than 1% of getting drawn that tag. That's one of the hardest tags to draw in Alaska. So
can you draw that as a non-resident, or is that just as resident?
No, you can draw that with non. Yeah, and actually, give me the name Meat Eater.
Ranella?
Steven Ranella?
Yeah. He did the exact same hunt and used the same transporter that we used.
Oh, no kidding.
Out there.
Oh, yeah. Funny.
Nice.
So I say we because we drew me and my buddy, who's actually from Mankato. He's one of my brother-in-law's friends. He moved up here with his family. We put in as a party. So if one of us drew, we both get a tag. And so it happened to be his first every year applying. And he drew a muskox tag, and it was my fourth, I think, year applying. And so one of us drew, so we both got a tag.
That's awesome.
So him and I both went out and both harvested a muskox. But yeah, it's hard getting out there. So you got to fly out of Anchorage into Bethel, a village, probably about 6,000 people, sort of a bigger village. So you'll fly into Bethel, and actually we tried to fly into Bethel right away the first day. The fog was too dense, though, and we had to divert to Fairbanks. So we weren't able to land, and they haven't been able to land in Bethel now for 4 days at this point because of the weather. So flights are just backed up. And I'm trying to get this done over my spring break. So, first week of March, I believe, is when this was going on. So we divert, land in Fairbanks, go back to Anchorage. They tell us, we can't land. You can't get out until 3 days later because everyone's trying to get in because it was so backed up because they haven't been able to land. So it's whatever. We, can't say no. Can't get there any other way also. So we go back to Homer, relax for a day or two, drive back up to Anchorage. We're able to land into Bethel that day. However, the weather to Merkoyak now was too bad, and we got stuck in Bethel for 4 days.
Jeez.
And for those wondering, a hotel in Bethel in March is about $250 a day.
Nice.
I mean, it makes your Motel 6 look like a 5-star resort. So, not the greatest place. I think it was called the Hawaii Inn, actually.
Oh boy.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So we're just stuck there, waiting for weather, giving calls to the airport every day. Like, can we get out? Can we get out? Nope. So we were stuck there for 4 days, actually so long that when we finally got out, the hunters after us were already coming in.
Really?
But our transporter, like I said, so you could go out there and hunt on your own, but you need a snow machine at this time, this time of the year. So everyone goes through a guide, and there's about 4 or 5 on the island. And the guy was great, absolutely great. He goes, it's not your fault. The weather's bad. We'll get you out there. We'll get you one. We'll get you an opportunity, even though the other guys were already coming in. So yeah, we landed there. He told us basically how it's going to go down that night. He goes, you're going to leave in the morning, just find the herd. So all you're doing is snow machining. And they just go to where they saw him last, right? because they have January to about the middle of March to get all the hunts in. So we hop on the snow machines and we go out and we're just following our transporter out there. And we did not hire him as a guide, so he couldn't touch the animal or he couldn't tell us, like, yes, shoot this one, don't shoot that one. All he was responsible was telling us where the dangerous spots were. There's rocks here, there's water over there, that's all he did. So we get on some muskox, we're glassing out, they were all females. And they like to just herd up. Once they see you, they don't really run away. Their, form of defending themselves, just make a herd, right? So we got, you sort of just cut them off. It's not the hardest hunt in the world, at least to harvest them. Mm-hmm. The hardest part is after you harvest them, really. But so you just sort of corral them, get off the snow machine, turn it off, and you're waiting for the one you want to step out and give you a clean shot. So it took us, I believe, the third herd that we got going after had 2 nice mature muskox, and we thought perfect. My buddy's older, so the transporter says, "You're the elder, you get to shoot first." Fair enough.
Interesting.
Sounds good to me. So we corral him. He gets in position. He's waiting for it to step off, and that's the hardest part, is just sort of waiting for that open shot. Yeah. Because, you can't, you shoot another one, that's a nice big fine that they'll take your muskox. Oh, I'm sure. You're done. So they start all moving as a herd. We got to hop back on their snow machines and do the same thing over and over again. It took us 3 times till he could finally get a clean shot off. Like I said, it's not that hard because you're just chasing them sort of with the snow machine. They're trying to corral them, I guess, is a better term. So he finally got his, and I saw his drop, and I said, perfect. I hop on my snow machine to try and cut him back off to get the second one, and he had to finish his off, so that he was a little behind me, and I was the same thing. Had to wait, I think, 4 times before I could finally get a clean shot, just because they were herded up and didn't have a good clean sight on the last mature muskox. And so finally, though, it did give me an opportunity. And the shots, you're probably shooting only about 40, 50 yards. Okay. You're actually pretty close to these animals.
So you could get in there with a bow if you wanted to.
Oh, for sure. And I thought that too. The toughest part with bow is the weather. You got 50 mile an hour winds, and that, the first thick, but until you start cutting one open, you don't realize how thick it really is. It's crazy how many blades you got to go through just on one muskox. But people do all the time. They go out there. I think there was a guy that got one with a spear.
Oh,
I'm not. What? Yeah, I might have to look into that one again. I'm pretty sure I saw that video.
That had to been what's his name for the Vikings? Must have been out there.
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen must have been out there.
You can get close to him. I mean, you get pretty close.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was either this year or last year. Didn't someone? It was like the first ever reported killing from a muskox. Didn't somebody die there?
So I have a little story from that. So I ref basketball, and I was up the road reffing with another guy who works for the state troopers, and he came in, and this is about a week after it happened. Well, the guy that died was a trooper. The artery in his leg just perfect, and he was so the muskox was actually going after his dogs, and he was just trying to protect his dogs. But so the guy I ref with came right. He's one of the top guys in the troopers, and so he came right from that memorial and sort of explained all of that, how it all went down, and it's just crazy. Pretty sad, trying to defend his dogs, and nope.
Well, I think people kind of forget, it's still a dangerous game. I mean, it's a wild animal. It's not like these, when you hear about, corralling them, getting them stuff together. Like it's like hunting giant, pretty much like they got to be like a descendant of a buffalo of some sorts.
They are. I learned this while I was there. They are a member of the goat family.
Really?
Would not have guessed that.
Yep. Same.
Never would have. Yeah.
Yep. They are technically in the goat family. Yep. Hey, speaking of that guy passing away from a muskox, there was actually a guy in Homer last week that got killed by a moose.
Oof.
Oh no!
Wildlife photographer.
Sad.
Yeah, a mother moose, they're having babies right now, and one got a little too close.
That's probably your guys' number one probably killer in Alaska. I would assume is moose.
I bet that is. Yeah, that's a safe guess because they are mean and they're fast.
Well, they're huge.
See, I told you I get off topic here. But,
that's okay.
That's all right.
Okay. Back to the muskox. So we both harvested our muskox, and the wind's blowing probably about 50, 60 gusting. It's just a flat island, no trees. And
it's cold.
Nothing there, and it's cold. So like I said, that's when the real work started. We started cutting his up, and we're going through blades left and right because of how thick those things are. It took us, 3 hours on one, caping it out, getting it all done.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was the hard part, especially in that cold. Your hands are cramping up. It's
and like I said, the same rules apply too, or you can't leave anything.
Oh yeah, no, you take it all. It's
crazy.
And the guide couldn't do nothing because we only hired him as a transporter. Because he goes, I could do one of those in 30 minutes.
That would have been nice.
Love to see it.
I believe it. They do those all the time. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. So that's a cool hunt.
That was a fun hunt. Just different. Something different. I've never done anything like that in my life. So it was
and kind of going off the bat, speaking. And you said you got a horseshoe up your ass kind of deal. Also drew a the rare buffalo tag too, didn't you?
I drew the buffalo tag. Yes, I did. That is also one of the probably top 5 hardest tags to draw. Copper River buffalo hunt.
Wild.
Same thing. I actually drew that as a party with the guy who now lives back in Michigan, where he's originally from. Okay. But so what happened, I did not get the opportunity to go out, sort of because of the teaching schedule. He wanted to go in the winter because that's when we had our most days off over Christmas break. And I said, sounds good to me because I taught too. And unfortunately, that summer was the summer he moved back. And he goes, I'm still planning on coming up. I said, all right, that's fine, cool. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it happen. And, it just sort of fell through.
And is that a fairly high success rate tag, too?
It is. I think as a party, it would have been hard to get 2. But I feel like we probably would have got 1. Yeah.
Wild, man. Between those two, buffalo. I mean, talk about like a lot of meat. That's a lot.
Oh yeah. It's good meat too. Really good.
What would you describe muskox like?
Well, it's more of I would say more pork than beef flavoring.
Wow, really?
A little more
not
porky.
Have guessed that.
Yep. I mean, it does. Now that I hear, it does taste a little like a goat. Have you ever had mountain goat?
I've never had mountain goat.
Yeah, mountain goat. Yeah. Oh, is Luke on?
He's in there. He's probably just lagging a little bit, but that's crazy, and kind of going off of that then too. I think one of the coolest hunts that I think I've seen pictures of that you've been on has to be your coastal caribou that you shot?
So yeah, that was, as far as hunts, that's probably number one. That might be number one now. So it's called the Keeley River Caribou Hunt is the technical hunt. So it's actually right on the peninsula, right, pretty much smack dab in the peninsula, which is great for me because we can drive there.
Yep.
And the best way to get to them is by horseback. And I'm fortunate enough where I have a good friend up in a town about 40 minutes away, and he has horses. His dad or his family homesteaded up here before Alaska was a state. He's got horses still on the original homestead. It's pretty sweet.
So he's been here for a long time.
He's been here for a long time. Yep. So he goes, hey, if you draw that hunt, I'll take you out. I've done that hunt a couple times. He goes back there almost every summer.
Okay.
And so I said, can't turn that down, right? So I drew the tag, and he was a man of his word, and he took me out there. We took 4 horses out, 2 pack horses. 25 miles, I believe, one way is what it ended up being on horseback, and took about 12 hours to get back in there, set up camp, and then you're actually hunting sort of above the alpine. That's how high you get, and it's sort of at the base of some mountains.
Okay.
Just a beautiful area. Yeah, so we went there, packed everything in. I'm very, very, very novice on horseback. I don't do much horseback riding. So he was great, though. Taught me a lot. Taught me a lot of different knots that have really come in handy. Knot tying is a nice skill to have up here. Between that and tying boats up.
Art form probably not a lot of people know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we, got up. Actually, it was the first morning. We got up, took the horses up. We're just sort of trying to spot and see where the herd was. And they ended up just being at the base of a mountain on this snow patch. Probably about 40 caribou, 40, 50. And so, yeah, we sat up on them for a while, tried to get close. They weren't moving because they're just trying to stay away from the bugs. So that cool snow and the from the glacier breeze also, because we're right at the base of a glacier essentially. So it's moving pretty good in there. So they liked that area, and they knew we were there, but they didn't care. They were just sort of hanging out. So we finally got within about 400 yards to get a good glass on them. And I saw one that I wanted, and so we tried to get in position. Now, what's really weird is that this time of the year, I wasn't expecting any velvet to be on any horns.
Yeah.
Because we went over Labor Day.
When was Labor Day? Okay.
Labor Day, yeah. And the season opened on the 10th of August. So it's sort of a hair later. Because it closes, I think it closes October. Ooh, I got to know that because I actually drew this hunt this year also. So it closes mid-October. We'll say that. And but every single caribou had velvet on the horns.
Hold on here. We got Luke popped out. We'll just cue it back in. Not sure what's happening. My image sounds good. Seems.
I better make sure Ruth's
like
still.
Your.
Oh shit.
Okay. Well, we can just keep rolling without Luke, which is fine. He'll hop back in when he can. So you left off on talking about Labor Day, your hunt you have this year, and then tying it back into the velvet.
Okay. So yeah, we went on the hunt over Labor Day, and I actually drew the same hunt this year. So my buddy already said he'll take me out again. So we'll probably go over Labor Day again, and that's about 3 weeks into the season. So I was pretty surprised to see as much velvet as we did on those animals. I was expecting them to be clean. So we were able to get another 100 yards closer. It was about a 300-yard shot.
Okay.
By the time, and honestly, it's about the same as the muskox. The hardest part was waiting for it to give me an open shot because those caribou weren't moving much because they were just enjoying being away from the bugs. So we had to wait for a while.
How low will those guys go? Will they drop down into the valleys?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they will. Okay.
Yep, they will. Yeah, I don't know if they were just doing that because of the time of the year, or if they were just that sick of all the bugs. So, yeah, I was just waiting for it to finally give me a clear shot because there would always be a caribou behind it. And actually, the biggest caribou we saw was at the very top of the mountain that these caribou were at the base of. You looked up at the top. There was just one standing alone. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't even think they would climb a mountain. Had no clue those things could climb the top of a mountain. That was a big caribou, but there was no shot of getting him.
No. Well, it's funny because like Luke and I in our last podcast or our last turkey talk, we talked about turkeys climbing a mountain, which really in hindsight is like a little baby hill compared to the mountains of Alaska.
Yeah. It's yeah. I didn't think they'd go way up there, but I've seen it with my own eyes, so they do. I know they do. Yeah, finally was able to get an open shot, hit him. I got a 300 Christensen rum that I use with a Huskama scope on it, and did a good job. Got the caribou all cut up, got our pictures, and same thing. You got to save as much meat as you can up here. They'll get you on it. So yeah, packed the horses up, went back to camp, and went out the next day.
That's crazy. So like with those hunts too, like you talk about, obviously Alaska is very keen on getting as much of the animal as you can, which should be in every state. I feel like a lot of us here in the Midwest sometimes get lazy when it comes to butchering whitetails or whatever it might be, to where we just take the best of what we want and leave the rest. But are they like actively flying around looking at carcasses and stuff? Or is it how?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to report your kill. You also got to report like the closest
location.
Coordinates. Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, I know one or two guys that have gotten in trouble just because they left too much. So the only animal you don't have to do that to, do you know what that is?
Grizzly bear.
Yep.
Nice.
That's the only thing you don't have to save anything.
But why is that though? Is that just because the meat usually is
the meat? Yeah. Okay. Usually they're just feeding off dead fish and dead. Yeah.
Well, I don't. You hear Stephen Ranella talk about it. He says grizzly bear is like one of the best meats he's had. It just depending on what backstrap. Actually,
I've had grizzly backstrap.
Pretty good.
Honestly, it wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I suppose it's all depend on what they eat, because even like
it is 100%.
Even Donnie Vincent talked about it. Like he ate a bear one time that was just eating rotten fish, and he was like, it almost tasted like a smoked fish what he ate. And then he also shot one that tasted like blueberries, because that's all that bear ate was blueberries.
I heard it can turn their meat blue, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy. But I think that's a cool thing that Alaska does. From a numbers perspective, I'm sure it's substantially different compared to like us here in the Midwest, where there's millions of deer that are getting killed every year, compared to there might be only how many coastal caribou are getting shot. Because like I would assume if that's such a limited tag, there's probably only a handful.
And they do a great job up here of every tag that you get, you have to report on the tag, so they know exactly how many are getting shot, what percentage of hunters are being successful, exactly where they're getting shot from. And they post all those statistics, so you can see how many people drew these tags, how many people actually hunted, how many didn't even try to go out. Like it's pretty in depth and nice as a hunter to have that data. It's really nice.
Nice. That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
Have you ever heard of fish counts?
Ooh, like reported fish harvesting.
So not harvesting, but the amount of fish that are swimming upstream that they're able to count those. Yeah. So up here, I've never heard of it till I got up here too. It was foreign to me, and they're like, "Oh, we got the fish counts. It's this number. It's 600,000." Like, what's that? What? Well, they have this device that is in the river, and as a fish swims by, it counts it, and so like they know exactly when they're coming in, how many are coming in. So people fish up here on the river sort of based off of the fish counts, at least for salmon.
Interesting.
Because then they know they're starting to run. Yep.
Yeah. I would assume maybe they have them up in like the Great Lakes in some of the like the main tributary like runoffs, but I've never heard of that though. But I mean, it's smart. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could just go to Menards and take like the little thing you have to walk through that tallies up how many people have been in the store and go put that in the river.
Yeah, that's how they determine if they close rivers down or bump. Sometimes they'll bump up the quota, it's all based off the counts up here. Which I had no clue.
You led right into it
back home.
So with that being said, like, you know, like you've been on some awesome hunts, but I know just as much as you love hunting, you are an avid fisherman, and you have some of the best fishing you could ever ask for in the whole entire world out your back door. And now you are a proud owner of a boat, correct?
Yep, proud dad. Yep.
That's awesome, man. Tell us a little bit about some fishing.
Yeah, no, it's living up here. You got to have a boat. It's sort of like you know, northern Minnesota. Got to have a boat.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not like a boat. It's like a ship.
Oh, it's what do I got? A 22-foot Hughes craft.
Okay.
Fully enclosed, like, you know, nothing too fancy or too huge, but 22 foot's pretty. It's perfect for the bay. The Catchment Bay that I live on. You can get out. My favorite thing to do is just halibut fish. I like to relax. You know, trolling's huge up here for salmon. And then just sort of jigging for halibut. That's the other.
Okay.
Homer is the halibut capital of the world, if you guys didn't know.
Did not know that. That's interesting.
Yep. It's on the big sign as you come to town.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's self-appointed, but it is known as the halibut capital of the world. I mean, there's some. Oh man, I don't even know where to start. You know, so I used to have a boat with a couple buddies, just a 19-foot Hughes, and that's a little small for the bay. So I was fortunate enough to be able to upgrade and find a boat last year.
Nice.
Yeah, the halibut fishing is crazy. You know, my dad comes up. He loves just taking it out, going halibut fishing too. I think the biggest one I've caught is about a 60-pounder, which isn't that big compared to some of the numbers they get up here.
Sure.
You know, it's nothing to catch a 100-pounder. And
how many can you keep?
So on a private vessel, so like my own boat going out, I can keep 2 a day all year.
All year.
Doesn't matter the size either. Now, if you go on a charter, they have a slot. One has to be over that number. One has to be under. It's been years since I've been on a charter, so I don't even know those numbers anymore. But
sure.
So charters, you get to keep 2, but one, you get 2 slobs, you can only keep one of them. You know, whereas on a private boat, you can keep whatever 2 you want. Big, small, doesn't matter. So.
That's like the craziest thing to me with like Alaska, and like obviously in Minnesota, I truly think even like in the Midwest, if you wanted to be self-sustainable and like go out and catch your limit of walleyes every day, whatever it is, shoot your 3-4 deer that you can shoot a year, shoot a couple of turkeys, shoot pheasants, and, you know, vacuum seal them all, throw them in the freezer and just try to survive off wild game. It's doable, but it's a lot more work. Like, I just think from the sheer size of animals and fish that you guys are catching, like the sustainability factor for you guys is like that's so enticing to me, is like knowing that you can go catch 2 weeks of halibut, and you could literally have like meals for months and enough to share.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a 60-pound halibut, you're keeping 30 pounds of meat.
Nice.
Wow.
You know, you get about, that's what
crazy.
they say. If you fillet it good, you're getting at least half. Yeah. Salmon. I mean, there's also, have you heard of dip netting?
For salmon, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So across,
they're taking those long nets.
Yep, big nets. You're just scooping them up. You're going in the river, scooping them up. So they have what's called dead end fisheries here. And across the bay is one for us. So I'll go back there each year. They have the season open for a month. So what it is they, as in the fishing game up here, take eggs and they plant them above a waterfall at what's called China Poot in Homer.
China Poot.
And when they hatch, they go, down the waterfall, out the ocean. They're good. But when they come back in, they can never get back up. So it's a dead end fishery for the purpose of residents being able to go to that stream, and you can dip net 6 fish every day from July 1st to August 7th.
Wow.
If you wanted to. Now, usually the earlier dates, they're not quite there as much.
What kind of salmon is it?
You're red salmon.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. By August, you're going there. You'll scoop. You'll have probably 3 or 4 in your net. You can pick and choose. It's like you're at the grocery market. Pick and choose which one you want to keep.
That's crazy.
And so you can dip net 6, then you go to the mouth of the river, and since you're not in the river anymore, you can snag another 6. And you could do that every day.
Now, have you seen anybody that has...
There's a moose.
Is there?
Yeah, and Ruthie Caesar.
Go get her if you got to get her.
We'll see. I'm in view of it.
Well, that's crazy. My wife would be freaking out right now, let alone my wiener dog, Honey, would probably be nipping at the ankles, getting punted halfway across the state.
The only time I'm going to worry is if it's a mom. This one doesn't. Oh, no, it is. Holy cow.
With a calf?
Yes. Like,
that's awesome.
That was born probably the last 3 days.
Wow.
That thing was small. Holy cow.
Well, I was going to say, I love your daily moose pictures we get every day.
Oh, it's been a little while now. Life's been getting busy now.
If you got to go get her, go get her.
Okay. Well, they sort of walked away, but as long as she doesn't get off her run, she'll be good.
It's terrifying. It's cool, but it's terrifying.
Is that pretty common for you?
That's the first time I've seen a baby up here. I mean, we'll see moose.
Oh, wow.
You'll see a couple moose a week. Yeah.
That's
That's nothing, but those babies, it's cool. Those babies.
How big are the babies?
Right now, the size of, like that one, 3 days old, is probably the size of a Australian Shepherd, maybe.
Oh, wow.
A little lighter, though, like
crazy.
size-wise, about there.
Sure.
Little skinnier, though.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would have came out like the size of like a small doe.
Oh, yeah.
That's how much I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been seeing a pregnant mom, so I'm wondering if that was her. That could have been. So that's cool. That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You see them around,
back
you
to the
sort of get
fishing
friendly
thing.
with them.
So like with the fishing stuff, like this is kind of a dumb question, I guess, but with the netting stuff, is there people that just go there and like catch and release? Like they just pull them in and they look at them and they're like, oh, okay, here you go, go back, or is it anything you pull in the net you're keeping?
Nope, you can. You don't have to keep everything you pull.
Okay.
So it's like, because once you get towards the end of the season, you got some probably almost like half dead fish, that wouldn't be good eating because they're already at that part of their spawn. So no, you can definitely. But if you keep it, you just have to clip the tail because that's how they tell that it was a dip net catch.
Okay.
So you're supposed to clip the tail just to show that you only have 6. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the best tasting salmon then? I mean, now that
King.
you've had your select, king is the best.
Yeah, king's the best.
Interesting.
King's the best, then silvers, then reds.
Okay. I would still assume eating a red would probably be, because I've never had true. I've had vacuum sealed from my brother-in-law and Tyler. I think I've actually had some from you. Say I don't have no idea what kind it was, but I would assume even a red to us would probably taste better than anything we could ever buy from a grocery store.
It does. It does. Yeah. I mean, just the color alone.
I'm sure.
I pulled some salmon out because I'm making salmon burgers tonight.
Nice.
So that's
all right. We'll be up for supper.
Hey, come on up.
We'll leave right now. We'll be there.
I'll keep it warm for you.
That's awesome though, man. So like with all that and your fishing adventures, like if you had to pick, I know you said halibut fishing is your favorite. Like have you been like fly fishing on the river, casting on the river, stuff like that too?
Yeah, so the big thing with the river is flossing. Do you guys know flossing?
Like the dance?
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean,
no.
You can do that while you're doing it. My girlfriend's dad does this every day, every morning, once the river or the fish start running on the Kenai River. People will be lined up on the banks, and you're casting upstream, and you let that line just float downstream. And I mean, the fish are only probably 5 to 10 feet off the shoreline, so you don't got to go far. But you can't snag the fish, and they're not eating because they're coming to the rivers to spawn and die. So what you have to do, though, is get the line between their mouth, and you set the hook, and so you're hooking them in the mouth because you can't snag. And it's just called flossing because you're flossing between their mouth, that line between their mouth. And so once it gets to the bottom, downstream, you set. If you get nothing, you just keep going upstream, let it float, set, and it's just.
Is there just that many fish?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to think if I were to do that into a lake, I think I would never catch a fish.
No.
Because like I said, they don't go up in the middle of the stream. They're on the edges, so they have like the same highway.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun to do because it's sort of like fly fishing. Sort of, you're just doing stuff. It keeps you busy.
That's insane. Huh. I would have never guessed that. But
so between that, you can get 6 a day up there. Go across the bay, get 6 a day. Like you're pretty set on fish up here.
And is there like you could have as much as you want in your freezer, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So with all that between, I know you're a big cook too. Like, what are your favorite things between like any of the wild game that you have that like your go-to stapled?
Salmon burgers are right there.
Okay.
Salmon burgers for sure. Halibut tacos are a close second.
Ooh.
Close second. Those are by far the top two.
What about for big game?
Moose. It's still moose. Still moose for me. Yeah.
And have you shot a moose yet?
Nope, I haven't gotten a moose yet.
Okay.
A majority of that problem is I keep drawing tags.
It's a good problem to have.
That's why I can't complain. Yeah, I haven't shot a moose, but I can't complain. I'm not. So it'll come. We'll get there, but yeah, it's moose is probably number one.
So with that being said, I mean, to kind of not just go off of like eating and cooking, but I mean, like you've been fortunate enough to get all these different tags and draw on them. What's next? Like, what's that next bucket list hunt up there for you?
Sheep.
Easy.
Ooh. Yep. That's an easy answer just because of the limited numbers.
Sure.
It's even if you draw one now, it's getting hard to harvest one just with the numbers as it's going. They're getting pretty poor.
So like the herd down, okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Goats, there's a lot of opportunities. So, I mean, I haven't gotten a goat yet, but I'm still confident I'll be able to.
Sure. You've been on some hunts though with some goats getting shot though, right?
Yeah. But yeah, sheep, I've heard that meat is top tier also. And
No kidding.
it's I've heard in a few years it's going to be tough to even be able to harvest
Jeez.
any sheep.
So what
Luke
is it?
just made some friends with sheep.
Yeah, that's right. Some bighorns up in South Dakota. So up there, it's Dall sheep, right?
It is. Yep.
Okay. So is it similar to like what like the Midwest went through with like EHD and CWD? Is it something like that, or is they're just down for whatever reason?
I think a lot of it is just probably a little bit of overhunting originally, and now avalanches. There's actually just a huge study that came out that said avalanches are the number one cause of death in mountain goats. So I mean, if they're that high in mountain goats, I would say sheep are probably
Similar,
up there too.
yeah.
So the caribou, I'm doing those backpack mounts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna do that, but with a saddle.
Sick.
Yep. I'm excited.
I'm
excited for that.
That is going to be super cool.
That's what I think
You know
too.
what he's talking about, Luke?
No, I don't. I feel dumb. I'm thinking saddle hunting for whitetails.
So there's a mount that went viral. For
yeah. Like on a horse.
Yeah, like a horse saddle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I gotcha. I was thinking, like, how would you do that with a saddle for whitetails? Like, how would that work? Gotcha. No. I gotcha now. That'd be sick.
Here.
So it'll be like kind of like a bedroll almost with the.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to look like that. How we
crazy, man.
Yeah.
So I want it to somehow look like that with the velvet.
That'll be awesome.
Rolled off a little bit. I should be getting it.
Yep.
Anytime, like
Soon?
he should be done any week here. So I'll have to send you guys that once I get it. I'm excited for that one.
Heck yeah!
Oh, dude, I was gonna say you are a spitting image of your father with your house right now because it's seriously, and like we'll plug it back in here for where we cut off, but like. The funny thing with that, like you walk into, your parents' place, and if no one's ever been in the Krekling household, it is like walking into a mini Cabela's because how many mounts do you think your dad has in the house? He's got to be over 50 or close.
Probably over 50.
Jeez.
Over 50.
Yeah.
I think he's over. I think he's got 23 whitetail, I think.
Well, he's got every amount you can think of. He's got a 170-inch, 107, and that might actually was that the one at 180 that's jumped over the rail?
Yeah, he's got the 180 now. No, that's not the one jumping the rail. He has that on the same pedestal now as the 170.
Okay, yeah. So Jeff's a cold-blooded killer. Tyler's a cold-blooded killer too. And I use killer lightly because obviously it's all in good, humane fun, but it's that's the fun thing of, us hunters, and when we get a chance to remember those moments, looking at the mounts and stuff. And like, he's got any animal you can think of is there. Besides the muskox, you're the only one that's got that.
And once I have enough room for that gator, the gator will be coming up here.
Gators coming home, man. Nice. I don't have much room in this house, so I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll figure it out. Buy a bigger house.
Good problem to have.
Yeah,
that's a very good problem to have.
Luke, what hunts do you got this year?
Well, I'm going to see if I can't get a turkey here in the next couple days. I got a trail run on Saturday, so I'm leaving Friday for that down in Iowa.
Nice.
But otherwise, it's just a lot of whitetail, tons of pheasant. I got 10 more properties I just scored down here. So doing a lot, we'll do a lot. We'll do a lot of that, and then we're gonna go back out to South Dakota for some muleys, and probably late October, early November, and that'll be good. That'll be that for sure.
That's the life of you get one hunt.
When you throw in some kids, it's like, what are you picking?
It's like I get my 6 days, and it's like, yep, see you later.
Yep.
Well, hey, that's one of the harder things about being up here is there's not a lot of things you can just say, hey, I'm going to go sit in the stand for the afternoon.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
That's true.
that's
Moose or
honestly
bear,
one of the things I probably
it?
miss the most. Like, yeah, bear would be the closest right now when you can bait. I mean, moose, you're walking around, you're like, yeah, there's nothing to really just sort of sit in a stand and enjoy besides bait and bear.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, it's too bad you're not closer to the Kodiak Island where you could just go kill blacktails all the time.
yeah, it's just a 9-hour ferry ride. That's not that bad.
Right? Easy, man. That's a walk in the park out there. That's where
I just did it last week.
You gotta get,
Yeah.
that's
there
insane.
You go.
No, every year I say the same thing. Like, if I don't draw anything, then I get to go sort of do what I want. Do I go to Sitka and try and get a brown? Because actually, one of the guys I ref state basketball with, he is a fisherman down in Sitka. And he go, come down anytime. I'm off in the fall because I've just fished.
Nice.
He goes, I'll take you out. We'll shoot. We'll get a bear. So
wow,
that got me pretty excited.
Yeah, say brown bear would look just nice draping, or you could have it as like a window blind behind that black bear you have.
Exactly. I know. I need one. That's number 2 on my list, Luke. It goes sheep and then that brown. Yep. And just
where would you want to shoot the brown if you could pick anywhere?
I mean, Kodiak's probably obviously top of the list.
Yeah.
But,
okay. That's what I was going to guess, but
that's got to be up there.
And
that's sure just the biggest ones there too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Huge.
But
and I'm sure people want to know.
What's that?
Or no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, sheep, goat, and brown bear are the 3 things that non-residents need a guide for.
Yeah.
Or immediate family. Like, so my dad could come up there and I had to be out with him. Right. But
is that just because of the difficulty of the hunt?
I think so. I think safety.
Okay.
I think that's what
makes sense.
Aiming for. Yeah. So before I leave, those are the 3 things I got to get.
3.
Because I'll never come back and pay for that. So
no.
Those got to get first.
And I'm sure people want to know, like, have you had any close encounters with bears out in the woods or the mountains?
I wouldn't say close encounters, but definitely encounters where, like, I'm going through these alders, there's bear scat all around, and, like, if a bear wants to come get me, there ain't nothing I can do because I'm trapped in these alders. Like, there's been a couple hunts where you can't move that well in there, so you're going slow, and those bears, they want to
right through that.
So I mean, like, you just have these like eerie feelings going through the woods sometimes, but I've never had what I would call a close encounter.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Nice.
Do you guys have, just probably another dumb question, but do you guys have grizzlies in Homer or near there?
We don't have deer. We do have
grizzlies. Sorry.
I have to remember what we have. Is it grizzly, or what's the difference from a grizzly and a brown? We have.
Well, I guess that was probably another dumb question on my part.
No, one's. I believe the difference is one is coastal and one's interior.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, we do. We have black.
Okay.
We have black bears also. Actually, that's where I got that black bear 40 miles up the road.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. We also got some pheasants.
Nice.
I didn't know that. Now, they were imported. What? Like, people brought them up, and there's actually no season for them. You can shoot them whenever you want, since they're not native.
Huh.
Well, we're gonna make a hunt out of that.
Well, technically, they're not native anywhere. I mean, if we want to make a pitch for the lower 48, they're from China.
From China. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make the pitch.
I mean, they're now
imported.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to get too far, but yeah.
If pheasants could survive, turkeys can make it.
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Turkeys would thrive up here. It's a perfect habitat for them. I don't know.
I tell you what, though, that'd be one thing, though, that would piss off about everybody that thought they had a grand slam and they would have to go up to, like the super slam. So they'd have to go back up to
I gotta go to Alaska.
That's right. Don't worry.
That's funny.
Well, so just kind of switching a little bit here. Let's just kind of dive a little bit more into, kind of the focus, the other part of what we have with our show here. And it's a little bit more of the faith-based stuff, but, obviously you've had a lot of really rich stories that you've got the experience, from our time hunting back home in southeast Minnesota to running the outfitter with your dad down in Missouri, and just your experiences in Iowa and Wisconsin. You've had a chance to kind of go everywhere. You've hunted in Hawaii. You've done, like, we could talk for 2.5 more hours about all these crazy trips that you've been on. But through all that, though, you've had to have some sort of connection with God in a little bit, just with, just from the beauty of the country that you get to see, and just kind of just give us a little bit of an experience of, like, kind of your faith journey, just seeing all the beauty through nature that you've got a chance to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate, even that. Yeah, I sometimes forget I went to Hawaii and hunted. Like, I've been looking back at it, and that's something I probably should do more, is, enjoy some of those memories, and slow down a little bit, but like what I was just saying earlier, one of the things up here that is hard to do is just go out in the woods and just enjoy it. At least on the hunting side of it. Now you could always go for a hike and enjoy nature that way too. But it just, like you guys touch on it all the time, but just seeing the beauty in nature, really, that's what it is for me. Like, whether it's coming up here and now seeing the mountains, and I feel like I've seen a lot of the world, or at least the U.S., and everywhere's got their thing, everything's perfect for where it should be, is how I, sort of feel. And it's that way for a reason. And, there's definitely days where I just miss seeing the sunrise or sunset, back in Minnesota, on the corn and bean fields. Like, that to me is just as beautiful as the mountains across the bay. It is.
Yeah.
And just seeing the beauty where it should be is what I really enjoy.
No, I love that.
No, I like that, because you kind of get bogged down on your, day to day of where you live, and you kind of forget of, like you said, like whether it's cornfields down here in southeastern Minnesota or mountains up in Alaska where you are, you forget how beautiful the land is that you're in, and you kind of just forget to take that time and just appreciate, the little things in life, I think.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Even I, for me, I mean, living up in Lake Country now, it's, I've gotten used to seeing a sunrise or a sunset on the lake, or enjoying all the beautiful pine trees and stuff we've got up here. And, I miss back home looking at the cornfields and the bean fields, and as flat as it is, but just like, man, I miss it, and, like with that. And I just think there's just so much reflection we get a chance to just give thanks back, and just appreciate where we're at, and remember those good times of where we've been and have been. And, no, that's really good. So kind of just going off of that just a little bit too, through all this, and once again, Ty, we just really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're on summer break now, which is awesome, and jealous that we don't get to have that in our working world, but kudos to you for being a teacher and, inspiring the youth of, that next generation for all of us, and that's where, just thank you for doing that and taking the time to do that. And you deserve the summers off. And, with that though, couple rapid fire questions I've got for you. First off, what is the number one thing you're going to be doing this summer? Like, are you going to be fishing? Are you going to be golfing? What is it?
I'll be spending time on my boat. Yep.
Spending
Whether
time
it's
on the boat.
fishing or, camping on the boat.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. That was sort of the perk of getting the fully enclosed. Like that's what I wanted. So I could we could just go camp out in the bay, go up to Whittier, set some shrimp pots, and camp out and check them the next day. That's my goal this summer, is to sort of get more comfortable in my boat.
Love it. So the next one is, what is the number one hunt that you have coming up this fall that you're looking forward to?
It's got to be my caribou hunt again.
Okay.
So now I've it's the same exact hunt, and we're taking horseback again. But this time, I have a caribou under my belt. I can be a little more picky and just sort of enjoy it. And don't got to feel like I'm rushed to get one. So that I'm excited for that aspect of that hunt, to take my time and see what we can do out there. Yep.
Love it. And then, so for us Flatlanders, and for anybody else that's listening across the states, or even it seems like we have people that listen from what is it? We got people from like Germany and Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Germany. Yeah.
But what is the number one place you would recommend from a restaurant and place to stay for anybody if they want to come visit Homer, Alaska?
Let's see. I'll answer restaurant. That one closed. The Boatyard Cafe in Homer, which is great. Place to stay. Well, my house. If you guys come up, you're staying at my place. But
perfect.
There you go.
For those other people, I would just recommend getting a unique Airbnb. There's a lot of unique places up here. Like,
cool.
You look at houses; they're all so individual. There's no cookie cutter house up here. Like,
okay.
So I would say find what you like, and there's a place that'll be exactly what you want up here. There's so many different unique places. So that would be the route I take, as an Airbnb rather than just go to a hotel.
Okay. What about a bar
experience? Just bar and food.
Just bar.
You have to go to the Salty Dog.
Is that the one with the dollars on the wall?
That's the one with the dollars on the wall.
I've been there. Yeah, we were out when we came out. We were out on the spit. We stayed out on the spit. So
funny.
That you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go
that was
there
cool.
if you come to Homer. Have to. As local though, that's more of a touristy one on the spit.
Yeah,
a local sweet dive bar. I personally like one called Characters.
Okay.
Yeah, Characters it's more of a local dive bar rather than
nice.
the tourist dive bar. So,
no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, Tyler, we don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we just want to tell you thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and for hopping on here. And once again, we will plug all your guys' external links for Cast with a View. So give them a follow and a like as well. And we are excited to keep up and hear the adventures you got coming this summer and this fall. And hopefully you can get that caribou and you can fill the freezer this summer with some fish.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys keep it up. I don't want you guys to stop this at all. So I want, if you ever need somebody else on, you let me know.
We'll have to do it live sometime from Homer.
I was going to say, we got to do it live from Alaska.
Hey, you tell me when. Yep.
No.
Well, I know we were trying to plan it. What was it? Was it last year? So I think it's still on the docket. I'm thinking from my end, at least in the next probably a year or two, I just got to get that squared away with my brother and with Cole and figure out logistically when we can actually make it happen. But when I know I've never been there, dreamt about going there since I was about wee high. So I'm excited to eventually make it up there.
Yeah, you'll love it. You might not leave.
I
don't know if I'll let you come up here. That might be stuck.
Well, that's where it's just funny. We've talked about it in other podcasts too, where it's just like, I'm a firm believer in myself. Like if it's a young man before I was married and had kids and anything like that, after football and stuff, if I would have left and went out anywhere out west, didn't matter if it was Montana, Colorado, Alaska, I wouldn't have come back because I would have just fallen in love with the mountains. For how much I love South Dakota, and it's just little tiny hills. It's just like, man, I wouldn't leave the mountains.
Yeah, you guys are welcome anytime you want up here.
Sounds good, man.
Appreciate it, man. Well, once again, Tyler, thank you so much. And guys, like I said, we'll plug in Tyler's stuff with Cast with a View. Be sure to go give them a like and follow. And thanks for listening. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.